The violet canopy of Keshar 7 trembled as Maya Trent pushed through the bioluminescent undergrowth, her scanner beeping erratically against her hip. 3 weeks on this jungle moon, and she still hadn't grown accustomed to the way the trees seemed to breathe, their massive trunks expanding and contracting with an alien rhythm that made her feel perpetually off balance. She wasn't supposed to be this deep in the wilderness. Colonial Command had been explicit. Stay within the perimeter, catalog local flora, avoid indigenous fauna at all costs. But Maya had never been particularly good at following orders, especially when her instruments detected unusual energy signatures half a kilometer beyond the safety zone. The whimpering stopped her cold. It was a sound that transcended species, that universal frequency of pain and fear that every creature seemed to share. Maya's hand instinctively moved to the plasma pistol at her thigh as she crept toward the source, parting massive fronds that dripped with something that wasn't quite water. The cub was trapped in what appeared to be a crystalline web, its small body suspended 2 meters off the ground. It was unlike anything in the colonial database. Sleek obsidian fur that rippled with electric blue patterns, 6 legs ending in retractable claws, and eyes that glowed like molten gold. Blood seeped from a gash along its flank where the web's razor-sharp strands had cut deep. Maya's breath caught. These were the Keshari panthers, the apex predators that had killed 2 survey teams in the first month of colonization. Command had declared them too dangerous for contact, scheduling them for controlled elimination once the colony was established. The cub mewed again, and Maya found herself moving before conscious thought could intervene. "Stupid, stupid, stupid," she muttered, holstering her weapon and pulling out her multi-tool. The web's crystalline structure suggested it was some kind of trap plant, similar to Earth's pitcher plants but far more sophisticated. As she approached, the cub's golden eyes locked onto hers, and she could have sworn she saw something like understanding flicker in their depths. Maya worked carefully, using the plasma cutter on the lowest setting to sever the strands without triggering whatever predatory response the plant might have. The cub remained eerily still, as if it understood she was trying to help. When the final strand parted, Maya caught the creature in her arms, staggering under its unexpected weight. "Easy there, little one," she whispered, examining the wound. The gash was deep but clean. She retrieved her medical kit and applied a broad-spectrum gel that foamed on contact, sealing the injury. The cub flinched but didn't struggle. A low rumble froze the blood in her veins. Maya turned slowly. The cub still cradled against her chest and found herself staring into 7 pairs of glowing golden eyes. The adult panthers materialized from the shadows like wraiths, their massive forms twice the size of earth lions, their fur patterns pulsing in what she realized was some form of communication. The largest one stepped forward, and Maya knew with absolute certainty that this was death approaching. The creature was magnificent and terrifying, its muscles rippling beneath midnight fur, its teeth designed to shear through hull plating. "I was just helping," Maya said softly, knowing the words were meaningless but needing to say them anyway. "Your cub was hurt." The alpha panther, which Maya would later learn was called Ravak, stopped 3 meters away. Its eyes moved from Maya to the cub in her arms, then back to her face. The other panthers formed a loose semicircle, cutting off any escape route. Slowly, carefully, Maya knelt and set the cub on the ground. It wobbled on its 6 legs, then limped toward Ravak, making a chittering sound. The alpha lowered its massive head, sniffing the cub thoroughly, paying particular attention to the sealed wound. What happened next would be debated in xenobiology circles for decades. Ravak approached Maya, moving with predatory grace that made every instinct scream at her to run. The panther circled her once, twice, its hot breath ruffling her hair. Then it pressed its forehead against her chest, just over her heart, and emitted a deep, resonant purr that seemed to vibrate through her entire skeletal structure. The other panthers approached, each one touching her in turn, their bioluminescent patterns shifting to a warm amber color that Maya's scanner would later identify as a sign of acceptance and gratitude. Over the following week, something unprecedented occurred. The panthers began appearing at the colony's perimeter, not as threats but as guardians. When a predatory swarm of blade wasps attacked the eastern settlement, it was Ravak's pack that intercepted them, suffering casualties to protect the human colonists. When a child wandered into the jungle, the panthers found her within an hour and guided her safely home. Maya became the unofficial liaison between humans and Keshari panthers. She learned their body language, their color-coding communication system, the complex social structure that governed their packs. Command's elimination order was permanently rescinded, replaced with a historic treaty that made Keshar 7 the first cohabited world in human expansion history. On quiet evenings, Maya would sit at the jungle's edge and Ravak would emerge from the violet shadows to rest beside her, the massive predator as gentle as a house cat. The cub, now half-grown and still bearing the scar on its flank, would tumble over her feet in play. Other species had seen humans as invaders, as resources to be exploited, as threats to be eliminated. But the Keshari panthers had seen something different. They had seen a fragile, technologically dependent species that nonetheless possessed something rare in the galaxy: the capacity to risk everything for a stranger's child. Maya Trent had saved one cub on impulse, an act of compassion that defied logic and self-preservation. In return, Ravak and his pack had given humanity something it desperately needed as it ventured into the stars: proof that we were capable of being more than conquerors, that we could build bridges instead of walls. The galaxy, Maya often thought while scratching behind Ravak's ear equivalents, was full of predators and prey, of strong and weak, of advanced and primitive. But maybe, just maybe, humanity's real strength wasn't in our weapons or our technology. Maybe it was in our stubborn, illogical, beautiful refusal to look away from suffering, regardless of whose eyes reflected it back.